Today we're talking about something that nobody wants to talk about, but is pervasive in all of our lives. The impact of social media on our mental health. We're not actually sharing for the purpose of sharing and knowledge, we're sharing for the purpose of feeding our ego, and that's the biggest problem with social media today. We all compare ourselves to other people. As a plastic surgeon, I study other plastic surgeons. I look at their social media, I look at what they're doing with their lives and what they're doing with their accounts, how many followers they have, what type of likes they're getting on their pictures. And even for me, someone as highly qualified, highly educated, and highly successful as I am, can get affected by it. That brings a huge question into play, because if they, the most beautiful actresses and models, need to Photoshop their own photos, what chance do we have? And so that's where you have to really think deep down, what is social media and what it's about. It's about feeding an ego and promoting brands, and it's becoming a business. So you have to remember that whenever you're scrolling and looking online, to not let yourself fall prey and think that everyone's life is better than yours, because it's not. Social media is an amazing tool that can be utilized for so many different businesses and personal ventures to help reach out to family members across the world, keep in touch with friends that you may have lost touch with, or stay active in your daily routines. But the problem with social media is it also creates an entire filter around real versus perceived life. A lot of us notice that there's filters on all of our apps nowadays, Snapchat, Instagram, and what those filters are doing to us is creating a new perceived life that may not be in touch with reality. Body dysmorphia is higher and more prevalent than ever, and I see this especially in my practice as a plastic surgeon here in Beverly Hills. Body dysmorphia is a real problem that about 2% of the population actually are diagnosed with. It's higher in males. On average, 2.5% of males are diagnosed with body dysmorphic disorder, and 2.2% of females are diagnosed with it. The key with body dysmorphic disorder is not that you think you have a crooked nose or that you're a little chubby. The thought with body dysmorphia is that you have hours a day spent on these negative thoughts, and it's disturbing your daily quality of life. That's the difference between someone who just thinks they're a little chubby and someone who actually has body dysmorphia disorder. The key is recognizing those things, because people with body dysmorphic disorder are not good candidates for surgery. So as a plastic surgeon, I'm always interviewing patients and identifying the signs and symptoms of body dysmorphia to make sure that we're not prescribing a surgery to a patient who actually has a therapy needed, more cognitive, for body dysmorphic disorder. The key with body dysmorphia is that they don't need surgery, they don't need procedures, and they don't need you to tell them they look and feel fine. They ignore those things and don't worry about it anyways, because they're so focused on their internal flaws that they've decided in their head are a huge burden on their life. They need cognitive behavioral therapy, and they need treatment from professionals who are trained in taking care of these, just like professionals who take care of depression and suicidal ideation on a regular basis. The problem with social media is also that every single person thinks that everyone else's life is better. You've seen it with yourself, you've seen it with your own friends. You post a photo and you put a couple of filters on it, you get a nice hashtag, you put a good little quote underneath, and you make everyone feel jealous for a few minutes of you. And that's the whole point of social media. Increase the likes, like right now, whether you want to click that like button or not, and increase the comments if you want to comment below whether you think this is a good video or a bad video. But the whole point is that all we're doing is increasing our own self-worth, because we're feeding into our egos by posting on social media.
And then you take pictures, and if they're not like perfect, people just like body shame you and criticize you.
We're not actually sharing for the purpose of sharing and knowledge, we're sharing for the purpose of feeding our ego, and that's the biggest problem with social media today. The impact it has on kids is huge. They actually have a term called Facebook depression that psychologists use clinically for kids today who spend too much time on social media. They found that kids who spend too much time on social media usually are focusing on the negative aspects of life more than the average child who spends less time on social media. And they've even coined the term Facebook depression for this clinical diagnosis. The problem with social media is that it's overused and underutilized for its positive goals. The key with social media is to limit the amount of time you spend on it. Even me, as a plastic surgeon in Beverly Hills who spends a lot of time on social media promoting my practice, promoting procedures, and talking about healthy and safe practices, I still limit the amount of time that I myself spend on social media. I try not to sit on there for hours and scrolling, looking at things, because I know that it negatively impacts even my mental health when I look at other people. We all compare ourselves to other people. As a plastic surgeon, I study other plastic surgeons. I look at their social media. I look at what they're doing with their lives and what they're doing with their accounts, how many followers they have, what type of likes they're getting on their pictures. And even for me, someone as highly qualified, highly educated, and highly successful as I am can get affected by it.
Kim is normally not this insecure. If she just didn't have access to social media or, stopped looking at the blogs, I think that she would start to feel better.
So trust me when I say everyone in the world is affected negatively to some degree by social media if it's used improperly. I deal with some of the most beautiful models and actresses on a daily basis, and they, every single day, tell me how they edit and post filter every single photo they post before they'll ever post it, because they want to make sure it's the perfect photo of the day. That brings a huge question into play, because if they, the most beautiful actresses and models, need to Photoshop their own photos, what chance do we have? And so that's where you have to really think deep down, what is social media and what it's about. It's about feeding an ego and promoting brands, and it's becoming a business. So you have to remember that whenever you're scrolling and looking online, to not let yourself fall prey and think that everyone's life is better than yours, because it's not. Your life is as good as your life because you make it into a life that you want to create. You cannot use social media to compare yourselves or create benchmarks, because everyone's always going to look better than they actually are in real life on social media. That's the entire point of it. You never ever see honest conversations about depression, mental health issues on social media, because you know what? There's not a button for that. There's only a like button. How many people want to like a post about someone talking about, hey, I'm sad today? No one's going to like that post, because there's not an empathy button. There's not a compassion button. And that's what we really could need and use. So if you're listening and watching Mark Zuckerberg, we would love an empathy button or a compassion button. I think that's what we need a little bit more of in today's world. Less liking, more empathy, more compassion. So keep that in mind whenever you're using social media. Keep that in mind when you're looking at other people's lives. It's not always better, it's just a filter. And the body dysmorphia that we've created from these filters is trickling down even to the youth today. If you look at the Kardashians and how they've changed the entire platform of what body genre we are in today, it's crazy. 10 years ago, everyone was obsessed with being skinny, thigh gap, and having the absolute perfect body. And now, because of the image that the Kardashians have sold to us, we don't care anymore. We like thick, we like large, we like big butts, we like big boobs, we like big lips. And slowly it's changing again back to its original form, which it was 10 years ago. And that's a pendulum swing that we see consistently change, especially in plastic surgery in our field. But the goal is, the concept is to not fall prey to the daily changes and to stay consistent with who you truly are, whether it's with social media, whether it's with your body, or whether it's your own personal life at home. Don't discredit or don't downplay somebody if you feel like they have some sort of mental disorder with regards to their body. It's not something that should be taken lightly and should be trained and taken care of by trained professionals. It shouldn't be swept under the rug, and you shouldn't just tell your friend, oh, nothing to worry about, you look fine, because they're not understanding or listening to you anyways. But the good news is that social media isn't just a negative aspect for everyone. There are people using it very positively. Dove did an amazing campaign showing the true flaws and how it's real life for men and women, showing touched and untouched photos just to prove that people can be beautiful with or without a filter. And it's moments like this, and kudos to Dove for doing this, that shows that social media can be used for a positive impact, and we should all hold ourselves responsible to try to do a little bit on our own part as well. Hope you enjoyed this video, hope you enjoy the commentary, and hopefully one day there will be a compassion or empathy button below.